Hello, welcome to Workplace Wake Up. I'm Jen Shaw. Every week, I spend about 15 minutes covering key legal developments, introducing you to interesting guests, and providing some entertainment to start your workday. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Happy middle of August. I know for many of you, your kids have started school. My daughter just started high school. I cannot believe I'm even saying that. Oh, so far so good. It's only been a couple of days, but I think it's going all right. I just have to tell you, there is no amount of money that anybody could pay me to go back to high school, ever, for anything. So the fact that she's having to go through it, I just hope it is positive. And I know it won't be perfect. There will be ups and downs, but I'm just holding my breath. I guess I can't do that for the next 4 years, but maybe for the next few weeks. Okay, so what are we talking about today? I have had some very interesting conversations with clients lately about equal employment opportunity compliance training. You know, AB 1825 training, right? SB 1343. The sexual harassment prevention training that is required in California, in New York, in Massachusetts, lots of other states. And what I'm finding is that because it isn't such a novel concept anymore. Remember, a lot of employers did training before it was required by law, right? But it's been required by law for quite a while. And it's not so novel anymore. So a lot of folks are just buying an off-the-shelf product, having their employees listen to it. They don't do a lot of Q&A. They've become a little lackadaisical about the actual requirements of the law, that you have someone there to ask questions and that it's interactive and that you cover very specific topics. And they're not committing the time and the energy and the resources they need to. Now, why do I care? Why does that matter? 3 reasons, okay? First of all, checking the box on EEO compliance training doesn't change your culture, right? It doesn't create a culture where people are treated fairly and appropriately, and decisions are made for legitimate business reasons, and inappropriate conduct is not tolerated. If somebody just has to do an online training that requires them to watch some videos and do a little bit of back and forth, but not too much, and they can actually multitask with their cell phone while they're supposed to be training, you're not conveying the message you want to convey. Now, some online training is fabulous. Don't get me wrong. There are companies out there that do it where it is really interactive and you can track progress, and they do pre-tests and post-tests, and they can figure out if your employees are paying attention. But I got to be honest, you guys, there's no substitute for in-person training. There's no substitute for connecting with your employees. And many of you who listen to this podcast, you are experienced HR professionals. You are delivering this training, or you have the ability to do that in your organization. And I know it takes time, and I know it takes energy, and you have to think of new questions, and you have to think of new ways to address issues, and you have to include topics that are really hot in the media, like when #MeToo came out, the DEI decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court recently. You've got to incorporate all that into your training. I get it. I know it takes time. I know it takes energy. But if you don't spend the time and energy, you don't change your culture, or you don't maintain a positive culture that you already have. So the training is not just about check the box, because if you care about your employees, you care about retention, you care about hiring, you care about getting people interested in your organization, you have to care about equal employment opportunity. And one of the best ways to show you care about it is to do a training that is engaging and entertaining and really top of mind in terms of issues that are coming up in the real world. So the first thing is, a check the box training does not do anything for your culture. All right. The second thing I want you to recognize is that if there is a complaint made against you, whether an internal complaint or a complaint with the Civil Rights Department here in California, the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, any one of the various states' human rights agencies, they will ask you what training you have done. They will ask you very frequently to show a copy of the training materials. They will ask you who conducted the training. They will want to know how effective the training was. Did employees have the opportunity to ask questions? Did you do any sort of testing so you could tell if they had learned anything during the session? Did you gather reviews and evaluations so you could say, okay, I think it was effective and this is why, or I think we need to tweak this little part of it. So they will ask you those questions. So making sure that you have good answers to those questions is critical for avoiding liability for those complaints. Okay? So even though they're going to an administrative agency, which is, of course, in most states, there is an exhaustion requirement. Like in California, you have to go to the Civil Rights Department or to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission before you can file a lawsuit. You may be able to defeat the claim at that administrative stage, so that employee will have a very difficult time getting a lawyer. They may very well drop their claims because it is so tough. If you've done a good job on the training and your policies and your follow through, you can often get one of these claims dismissed after an investigation by the agency, where they say, look, we looked into it and we don't see any merit. Any lawyer who knows that is the situation will be very reticent to take that case. Okay, so committing a little extra time and resources to this compliance topic really can pay off in terms of agency complaints. Now, it really pays off in actual litigation in court where you have a judge or a jury. Because if you're the HR person and you're questioned by the employee's counsel, right, the opposing lawyer, about your training program, and you say, well, yeah, we have an off-the-shelf program. We roll it out every year. If anybody has questions, they can email me. Okay. Or, yeah, we do a live training every year. Employees, because we have remote workers, they're often on Zoom or GoToWebinar, but we have a live trainer and they're familiar with our policies and procedures and they can answer questions in the moment and we gather reviews. What a better story to tell. So I don't want you to be complacent about your equal employment opportunity training. I know there's a lot of shiny new objects out there that we're supposed to be doing in HR, right? In California, we have workplace violence prevention policies and programs. We have training we're supposed to do on that topic. We have pay transparency. We have new leave laws. We have all sorts of things to keep us busy. I get it. But don't miss the low-hanging fruit. And that is what equal employment opportunity compliance is. Do you have up-to-date policies that list all of the protected categories that may apply to your employees? Do you have a complaint system that makes sense where they can access something? The employees can access something, a process, a program, a hotline, something for them to be able to do even anonymously. Do you have good internal procedures so your investigators don't take 6 months to look at a matter? You can turn it around quickly. You can carefully evaluate. You know how to suss out who needs to be interviewed and who doesn't. All of those issues are critical to having an effective EEO program. Training is just part of it, but training is a really important part of it because even if you've got the good policies, you've got the good procedures, you've got competent folks in HR, you have managers and supervisors who care, you have employees who care. If you don't have a training where they can ask questions, they can understand how things have changed since last time. They have someone looking them in the eye saying, if you ever have a concern, these are your 5 options. These are the places you can go to get help. We're committed to solving any problem that you bring to our attention. And even if it ends up not being an equal employment opportunity issue, we're going to deal with it. We're going to take care of it. We want you to have a positive experience in this workplace. Okay? So when you look at your equal employment opportunity program, and it's a program, right? It's an umbrella that includes things like what language is on your employment application? What questions do people ask in interviews? How do you keep the interviews on track when you have an applicant who's bringing up protected categories? Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm a volunteer at my church and I had to go pick up my 4 adopted kids because they all have medical issues and we were at the doctor, so I was running late. I mean, how many protected categories can somebody bring up in 10 seconds, right? So your equal employment opportunity program is more than just the training. But the training is a critical component. I don't care if you do it internally. I don't care if you do it externally. Do it live, not a recording. If there's anything you can do to have it live. Because remember, even if you have a recording, you have to have information where somebody can go ask those questions. Don't you want someone from human resources or personnel or EEO to know what questions are being asked in that training, to be able to track people's response to the hypotheticals and the scenarios and the questions, so you'll be able to identify potentially where there might be an issue? Do you have to update the training every time? Yes. You don't want to have the same hypotheticals. You don't want to have the same scenarios. You may also need to update your policy. Things change. Processes change. Laws change. So when you think of equal employment opportunity training, you have to know that very few of your employees wake up the morning of the training and say, oh, I am so glad this day is here. I have been waiting to do this equal employment opportunity training. I am so excited. That is generally not going to be their reaction. So you have to do everything you can to show them why it is important, to show them the relevancy to their workplace. If you have folks who are riding around all day in a garbage truck, right, they're waste management, they're going to have a different experience than somebody who's sitting on the phone taking orders at a stationery store, right? So tailor your training. Make sure that it actually has a message for your employees. And by the way, you can do this with off-the-shelf training. Many of these companies have now gotten really good at saying, okay, these are our core things that we're going to talk about. And then we'll let you give us some additional information, right? We'll let you tailor it a little bit. There's no better way to tailor it than to have someone come in and do the training for you that is for your workplace. Either someone from HR, someone externally. We've been doing training since 1997, forever. We have done thousands of hypotheticals and scenarios. And every time I do this training, I learn something new. I learn something new about the organization. I learn something new about the hot topics for employees. It needs to be an ongoing process, something fluid and not something static. So obviously, you have to think about what works for you. What is your budget? Where is everybody spread out, right? What kinds of communication tools do you need to have? How are you going to hit everyone in a relatively short period of time? How are you going to keep them engaged, right? You've got to spend some time and energy thinking about that. But once you've got the basics in place, you guys, it's not that much to tailor it every year. It's not. I do it. It's just not that much. And I got to tell you, it's fun. It's fun to be able to connect with your team and figure out what is making them tick and what has them upset and what they want to focus on. So when you're thinking about training for 2025, be inspired. Right? Get creative. Think about how you're going to roll it out in a way that is really going to keep people engaged. And even if you have to do a couple different versions of the program, that's not going to be that much work. The big meat of it is going to be the same. You change a few slides, you're going to cover it. It's going to be easy. So don't let it overwhelm you. Sit down, plan it out, come up with your strategy, and then get it implemented. It matters and it will make a difference. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. I hope you have a terrific day, and I'll see you next week. Workplace Wake Up, including our guests and hosts, do not provide legal advice in this podcast. Do not act upon any of the information discussed in this podcast without first consulting a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to spread the word, please share it with others, post about it on social media, and/or rate and review it. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and email us at info@shawlawgroup.com.